Welcome back, my friends, or if you're new here, welcome. Thank you for being here. Today's video, we are going to be taking an in-depth look at the HAKKO FX-601 soldering iron. So if you are a stained glass artist full-time like me, or you do it just as a hobby, if you're into electronic soldering, large component soldering, this may very well be the soldering iron for you. A lot of what I'm going to be talking about is personal experience, as I have used this iron for coming up on a decade now and it still works fantastic. A lot of it is going to be personal experience, but let's just jump right into the HAKKO website directly, and we can see we've got the HAKKO FX-601 soldering iron for $96.87. Then we have this little blurb to the right. The HAKKO FX-601 dial temperature soldering iron is ideal for soldering applications that require mobility or a long reach. The slender ergonomic handpiece allows you to solder for long periods of time without hand fatigue. And I think that's a huge reason on why it's such a big soldering iron in the stained glass community, because it is so comfortable in the hands. We are often soldering for hours on end, and the tip itself. So really quickly, let's just scroll to the bottom of the screen here, because this was something that popped up with my recent giveaway with HAKKO. You can see this blurb on the screen here. It says, beware of counterfeit products on Amazon and eBay. So always, guys, just make sure that you are buying from a reputable source. If you are going to buy from Amazon, make sure it is from the HAKKO dealer on Amazon itself. You can always see that on the top left corner of any Amazon page, what seller you're buying from directly. Alrighty, guys, here is our HAKKO FX-601, and I'm going to be talking about this as if you've never seen it before, or if you're unfamiliar, whether that be through stained glass or if you've just never used this iron at all. And it is a temp controlled soldering iron and is largely ideal for things like large components, battery terminals, stained glass, and the temp control on the iron goes from 464 degrees to 1004 degrees Fahrenheit. So flipping over to the back side of the packaging, we get a much more in-depth look on what the appropriate uses for this soldering iron is. So we have a huge chart on the back, and that shows us that the HAKKO FX-601 is considered a heavy-duty soldering iron. The only thing this thing really isn't good for is desoldering or to be used with fine gauge wire. We're going to pop it open and we're going to take a look at everything that is inside the packaging. And as you guys can see, it is not much. We have the soldering iron or soldering gun itself and this little blue key. So we'll get to that blue key in a second, but let's first go over this iron. So this iron is adjustable in a few ways, and there are parts that you can replace if you need to further down the line. That is one of many reasons why I love this iron so much. So while we're here, I'm just going to quickly show you guys how you would replace the tip or tip enclosure or both. All you have to do is simply unscrew it. You pull that tip enclosure off, then you can remove the tip. Then you'll see your heating element inside. You want to be careful with that. Then you would put your new tip replacement on, your tip enclosure over it, and then tighten it up, and that's it. When I tighten mine up, I like to have my paddle facing kind of evenly with the adjustment knob. So the temperature gauge, I want it to sit nice and flat, because when I go to hold my soldering iron, that's just the most comfortable position for me, to have this flat tip facing or even with that temperature gauge. So that's going to be totally up to you guys, but if you need to adjust it, you just go back in, loosen up that tip enclosure, and you can kind of adjust your tip around a little bit and then simply retighten it once you have it in the position that you want. And that's it. So that is how you would replace the tip and or the tip enclosure on your soldering iron. Like I said, I've had this soldering iron, my old one, for almost 10 years, and there was nothing wrong with it. If you missed it, HAKKO was kind enough to recently gift me 2 brand new FX-601s, one for myself and one to put in a giveaway for all of my subscribers. That is why I've got a new one. My decade-old one still literally works like it is brand new. So with all that being said, I cannot recommend the FX-601, and I cannot recommend HAKKO in general enough, you guys. So moving right along, let's talk about this little blue key that is attached to the cord on your brand new soldering iron. So if you do some deep dive, if you're looking through Reddit, you'll find that there is actually a lot of discourse and conversation on what this little blue key could possibly be for on your soldering iron. Not only can we find this information directly on the HAKKO website, but I got a statement from HAKKO themselves. So all it says about this key lock on the HAKKO website is that it is a temperature lockout key for process control designed for the FX600 and the FX601 soldering iron. So HAKKO wanted me to be a little bit more specific and give you guys an example. If somebody wanted to prohibit somebody from changing the temperature, i.e. an instructor with a classroom of students, they would set the temperature on the iron and remove the dial with a little screwdriver. If they then want to change a temperature, temperature, they would use that blue tool to do so. So as you can see, I have removed the temperature dial, and I would recommend, if you guys are going to do this, that you don't worry about setting the temperature before you remove the screw. I would remove the screw first, put the dial back in, and then set your temperature. I only suggest that because as you are unscrewing it, the temperature dial is going to move anyway. And luckily, there is only 2 ways for this knob to sit back inside of the soldering iron. So there is one way that is correct, obviously, and we have a little arrow that's going to point us in the right direction. So say you drop the knob or you're just not sure where it's sitting, you put the knob inside and you turn it all the way down or all the way up. And if the arrow is facing correct, then you will know. So say we turn the temperature dial all the way down, we want that arrow to be facing the lowest point at 240 degrees Celsius, or if we turn it all the way up, we want it to be sitting at 540 degrees Celsius. Does that make sense? So if we're turning it all the way up or all the way down and that arrow is not matching up directly with where it should be, then we know we have it in the wrong way. So if we turn it up all the way and it's not sitting at that 540, you're just going to pop it out and sit it in the other direction, then you know it is correct. So regardless of that, it is pretty easy to tell, even without the knob, where the temperature is at. So say you want to pop this knob off and you just want to use the key to adjust it. Not only does the arrow directly match up with one of the notches you see inside where the key sits, but you can also just do the same thing you did with the knob on. Use the key and turn the dial all the way down or turn it all the way up, and you'll be able to see what temperature you're at. So now that we have gone over that, I am just retightening and screwing back on the temperature dial knob, and now everybody knows what this little blue key is for and how to use it. So moving right along, now we are almost ready to use our brand new soldering iron. The first thing we got to do is plug it in and tin it. So when you get your HAKKO soldering iron, yes, it is technically tinned. However, you guys have heard me say before a million times, follow directions from the manufacturer, and directly on the back of the box it says always flood the tip with your solder when you first heat up your soldering iron. Now that is a great rule for every single time you turn it on, and this first time we turn it on, I think it's a great rule of thumb to give it a quick wipe off and re-tin it with the solder that you are most often using. So yes, it is technically tinned, but we're going to turn it on, let it heat up, we're going to give it a quick wipe. And just a reminder, you guys, all tinning means is to just lightly coat something in metal. So we are lightly coating another material in metal. That's all tinning means. We're going to tin the tip with the solder that we most frequently use. Turn it off. We're going to let it completely cool. Then when we turn it back on, we are ready to go. You've got your brand new soldering iron. It is tinned properly and ready for you to hit the ground running. If you guys want a more in-depth video on soldering specifically and things like tinning, then go check out my soldering school video. I still recommend it even though it is fairly old now. I think it is one of my most informational videos I have ever created. There is a ton of information in that video. I know it is long, but if you are new to all of this, I highly recommend it. There is a ton of information in there. So yeah, that is it, guys. This is the HAKKO FX-601, and as you can see, it is definitely tailored to something like stained glass art and to make it really easy to use. The handle, the tip, the way you can hold it, how long you can hold it, the built-in temperature adjustment. It's an all-around fantastic soldering iron. HAKKO makes quality products. Like I said, I've had mine for nearly a decade now. All I've done is replace the tip and enclosure one time, and that was recently because I'm about to donate it, and it is still working like the day I got it. So I highly recommend it. Go check it out if you haven't already. If you guys have more questions again about soldering specifically, go check out my soldering school video. I promise you, you will learn at least a thing or two. And once again, a huge thank you to HAKKO for sending me not only a brand new iron for myself so I can donate my other one, but giving me a brand new iron to give away to one of you guys. If you guys did miss that giveaway, hopefully I will be able to do more in the future. So make sure you subscribe if you are new here, and go find me on all social medias. You can find me at Mackenzie Haley. So yeah, that is it for today's video, guys. This is the HAKKO FX-601. I hope if you do end up trying it, you love it just as much as I do. I stand behind HAKKO wholeheartedly. I think they make fantastic products. So thank you so much to HAKKO. Thank you so much to you guys for watching. I hope you enjoyed today's video. As always, don't forget to subscribe, like this video if you did, comment down below, and let me know what do you want to see next, and I'll see you guys next time. Bye!